This is the Cal 101 podcast on Cape Atlantic Live. Here's your host, Nick Costco.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Cal 101 podcast right here on Cape Atlantic Live. Please be joined now by a familiar face of the program, head coach Frank Riggitano of the Middle Township Panthers, the undefeated Middle Township Panthers, as I do say so myself. 5-0 this year. Coach, you guys are rolling right now. You head up north, which could be considered North Jersey at this point for this week against Wall Township High School for your next game. Looking to go 6-0 on the year. But thanks for joining me tonight. I gotta say, you guys are very impressive. 6-4 last year, already 5-0 this year. I know we talked in the summer, and you said, you know what, this year could be very special, and so far it looks like it is.
Yeah, I mean, the kids have done a great job. And, one of the things that we talked about, as you mentioned in the summertime, was our schedule and how it was going to roll out for us, and how we added a team like Haddonfield to our scrimmage repertoire in the beginning of the season. And I think that's really helped us prepare for some of our games. We've had some really tight games. We've had some games that weren't so tight where we didn't play as well as we did in the tight games. So right now the kids are excited, the community's excited, and we're looking forward to getting on the buses this week and seeing how we match up against a Central Jersey school that's got a huge reputation of a fabulous culture for football, and we're excited to get into that environment.
We'll get into Wall Township in a second. That's going to be some bus ride up on Friday night, of course. So right now, according to Gridiron, you look at the UPR rankings, and of course, everyone's going to start looking at these at this point, considering we are just, hard to believe, already a few weeks away from the playoffs beginning. You guys made the playoffs last year, but you're currently number 4 in South Jersey Group 2. Now, for people who don't know, the ones who are watching and listening at home, South Jersey Group 2 is divided into the Central and South sectional, so it's 30 teams. You guys are number 4 right now, according to those rankings. So as it stands right now, you guys would be a number 2 seed in whatever bracket you guys get geographically placed in. So what's that been like? I mean, you guys thinking about that, looking at that, aware of that? I mean, what's that mood like in the locker room and also among the staff right now, knowing that you guys are pretty highly ranked right now?
Well, obviously we're aware of it. The kids get excited about it, and we get excited. I get excited about it also. But we still got a long way to go. What's not factoring into that alignment right now is the fact that we played 5 games and some teams have only played 4 games. So that affects where we could line up as well. However, one of the things and one of the goals that we set forward in the beginning of the season was to try to make the playoffs, number 1, and have a home playoff game, number 2. And if we want to do that, we got to continue to win, because I like our schedule. Our schedule's got some really quality football teams on it, and we've been fortunate enough to win those games so far this year. But, 1 or 2 losses in the next couple of weeks could really knock us down a few pegs in terms of where we would align for a home game or not having a home game. So, we're going to treat, as we did today at practice, one practice at a time and take one game at a time, the old cliche, and see where we wind up 4 weeks from now.
Absolutely. You got to love the old cliches, but sometimes they actually work pretty much every single week. So I want to highlight one of your players, Remy Rodriguez. So we're going to show a highlight for the folks at home as well. But before we even do that, Coach, I mean, he has been absolutely fantastic. One of the better running backs that I think people really don't talk about in South Jersey. 81 carries this year, 593 yards, 6 touchdowns. I mean, he is just killing it. The highlight we're about to show, of course, over your win over Gateway last week was very impressive before that. Just a little bit on him and what he's meant to this offense so far this season.
Well, what he's done is really increased his physicality as far as, his presentation on the field itself. He spent a lot of time in the weight room in the offseason, something he didn't do the year before because he's involved in multiple sports. He got a little dinged last year in football and took some time off, but he spent that time in the weight room, and it's very much noticeable in his approach on the field. He is flying under the radar, so to speak, as you mentioned. But our scheme obviously revolves around what he's able to do for us on certain plays that we call, and it opens everything else up for us. So, he's where we thought he would be. If you double what he's got right now after 5 games, it's 1,200 yards. So he's in that ballpark, but he still has really yet to break loose, and it's going to come one of these weeks, and hopefully it's this weekend.
No doubt. So let's take a look at some of his work. This is the touchdown right before the half against Gateway just this past Friday night. What did you see on this play? And I think this really just shows that he has tremendous vision and tremendous agility.
Well, his cutback ability is incredible, and he sees the field much better than anybody I've had over the years. On this particular situation, as you well know, we don't throw the ball a whole lot, but in the last 4 or 5 minutes of this half, we did throw the ball. And the play prior to this one, We went with 4 verticals and threw the ball deep, and they really softened up on the defense. And I called a sweep with him, and I told Sarfati, as you can see him right there, block number 17. If you block him, we got a chance at a touchdown. And then, Remy just puts his right foot in the ground, plants, and he's off. So he's special. And, we're hoping that continues, and we're hoping somebody locks in on him for the next, he's only a junior. So he's got another year ahead. Maybe he'll get some people to look at him this spring or after this season, and we get him guided as far as his future as a college football player.
Certainly looks like it. He certainly has the ability based on what he's showing on the field right now. Your defense obviously has been very stout this season. Against Gateway, you guys had a little bit of a scoop and score, and it was a play that, the officials had to talk about a little bit, but obviously we will show the folks at home as well. This little scoop and score, you guys have 14-0 right here. This puts you guys up by 3 scores. Just what was read well about this player here?
Well, Gavin and James and Nick and Ryan, and I don't leave anybody out, but all the coaches have done a phenomenal job with our defense this year. We've taken a different approach. The only thing that I wanted to make sure we were doing was to run an odd front, and they're doing that. And Gavin Leapy played at Holy Spirit, and he played at TCNJ. And he also was fortunate enough to play overseas in a professional league last year. He's brought some of those things from his team that he played for in Germany, and they're really quality concepts. They're very simple. It doesn't call for a whole lot of adjustments week in and week out. And one of the things that we've done that's really helped our system is Saturday and Monday, we really don't do any teamwork or 7-on-7. We put the kids in the defensive huddle. They break out of a huddle in a formation that we're going to see that week, and we get them to align in those formations. So before we do anything, they got to know where they're going to be, and it's really been advantageous. I was very happy for Jerry, who suffered that season-ending knee injury last year. He's been torturing me all year. I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to score. And there he goes. He scoops it up and scores. So it's always you want good things for kids like that work so hard and had a little bit of a setback, but the smile on his face was incredible after he scored that touchdown.
Yeah, I think South Jersey Group 2 has to watch out for him, and one of the better linebackers in the entire section, if I do say so myself, based on seeing what he did last year right before the injury, which was very unfortunate for you guys. But obviously, you got to imagine he is one of those key cogs that was really missing in 2022, and maybe it's put your defense over the top a little bit here in 23.
Absolutely. I mean, you factor him into the situation. You factor Jeremiah Jones in at linebacker, who was not there last year as well. And Tyree has returned in the middle and inside as well. So we've been very fortunate to have kids come back and not necessarily miss a beat, And as far as, somebody that wasn't in the system last year, because Sean Watkins has been incredible at fullback for us. So, and he's been playing defensive line. He's one of the strongest people I've ever seen for his size. He's about 215 pounds, but he's very physical. And he's very quick off the ball, and he's going to play a lot this week at defensive line, which we think we're going to need because they are very large. I know you want to talk about them later, but we're excited about the opportunities that have presented themselves for our kids, in particular those ones that have hung in there for 4 years, because this group, we threw them in the fire as freshmen in varsity football 4 years ago, and they went 4-4, 8-2, 6-4, and they're 5-0 right now with 5 games still remaining at least. So they've done a heck of a job, and it's a great 4-year system for them, and I hope they can finish the way that they're going right now.
Yeah, no doubt. So before we actually get into Wall, you bring up a good point right there, knowing that these guys played for 4 years now, or this is their 4th year, and it's been a long developmental process, but they've seen some success. I got to imagine they're thinking to themselves, we've won games before. We've had good seasons before. It just seems like they're putting it all together right now this fall, at least through the first 5 games.
Well, they like each other, and that's a huge, they really do. They get along very well. You'll have your minor tussles here and there, but they really truly like each other. They hang out together. They're constantly in conversations outside of football. And I think that's a huge piece, because they can look to the right and look to the left, and they can count on that person that's next to them. And that's one of the strengths of this group. They're all 17, 18 years old now, and they were 14 and 15 when they came to us. They've matured, and they've weathered the storm early to, with success comes confidence. And I think that's where they are right now. And, 2 years ago, we were in the same boat. We were 5-0. We went up to Collins when we lost. So that's on, the tip of their mind right now as well. So they're looking forward to seeing where we are. It's a great gauge for us this week against a good Wall Township team.
Is that a big learning experience that you can look back on, even though it was 2 years ago? Not the exact same team, but obviously you have similar guys who have been there before. 5-0, same situation. You go up the road or out west, wherever the case may be, 5-0, and you're saying we need to be perfect, but then you end up dropping a game and you stumble along the way. How do you look back on that game 2 years ago to use as a lesson for this one on Friday night?
Well, one of the things that we didn't do well that night was, we had a ton of penalties and we had 4 turnovers. That being said, we still had a chance to win the game. Late in the game, we dropped a pass in the end zone for a touchdown, and we wound up going to overtime and then fumbling the ball in overtime. But it is a learning experience. And as uncomfortable as it was at the time, it's a great learning experience now because you can remind the kids of the fact, say, listen, that team that we're going to play might be 1-4, but they got 2 losses against 2 of the top 3 teams rated in the state. So you need to be ready to play football, and you need to learn from past experiences when you were in this situation. You better be ready to go, or they're going to put one on your chin. And we've told the kids that this week.
So what really stands out about Wall Township, knowing that you have to go to their house? It's going to be a long trip for you guys. I believe it's about 80 miles or so up the Parkway. What really stands about this football team, knowing that they're probably coming hungry, knowing that they have an undefeated team coming to their house?
Oh, no question. Their situation, I'm sure they're not happy with a 1-4 record, but at the same time, as I mentioned, their schedule is just brutal. They're probably looking at a situation where, and I don't mean they're not being disrespectful in any way, but they're looking at us in a game where they can compete and potentially win. That's the way I would look at it if I was, the Wall program. And right now, even though with a 1-4 record, they're the number 9 seed in Group 3. So that tells you what their schedule looks like. And then after us, they still have Runnymede and Point Pleasant Borough. I mean, they've got a ton of quality contests coming up. And I'm sure their coach is doing the same thing that we're doing. Hey, listen, they're coming up the road. They're a good football team. We're a good football team. Should be a heck of a game, but we need to be ready.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Manalapan, they lost to. They edged Howell by a point. So just going to show you the strength of schedule. Red Bank Catholic, Donovan Catholic are their last 2 games they've played. And unfortunately for Wall, they've been shut out. But again, as you mentioned before, really tough schedule. Some of the best Catholic schools in the state. They have you this week. And then, of course, they're at Toms River North, defending state champion in Group 5 school, Rumson, Fairhaven, and Manasquan left in their schedule. So you mentioned, you hit it right in the head. Very, very, very brutal schedule. But, hey, got them a 9 seed currently right now in Group 3. So just from a football standpoint, what worries you the most, or what are you really keying on for their team this week? Knowing is it their offensive line, defensive line, is it their secondary? What's really going to be the key to this game here?
Well, they're very large young men. I'll tell you that much. They're 6'5" on average across the front, and they got a couple boys over 300 pounds. They got 1 280. They got a couple of linebackers at 200, 2 2.25. So it's a very large football team. They're a very physical football team. They're also very strong. So that's going to present us with some situations that we're unaccustomed in this respect. They also have 70, 80 kids on the team. So many of their players, I'm sure, are only playing one way. And our situations, it's probably the best it's been in some time. We were talking about this the other day. We have 5 that are only playing one way. That's not usual for us. We usually have 8 to 9 that are doubling up. And that's one of the reasons why I think we're a little stronger in the fourth quarter when it comes to playing certain games. So their size concerns me. They're going to try to double team us. And I think they're going to try to run in between the tackles and see if we can handle their size. And, if we put our nose in there and we hold that up, then they're going to have to make up some kind of other adjustment. But, so we'll see how that goes. But offensively, we're going to do what we do. We run the wing tee, and we're going to pass when we need to off of play action. We've only thrown 37 or 38 passes all year, and Mark has 7 touchdown passes. So,
that's a good percentage right there.
Yeah. We like what we're doing. We like our ability to have multiple athletes in our scheme with 3 running backs. So we're looking forward to the challenge. It's a tall order. It's a long bus ride. The kids are in school all day. We got to get them out early. We're going to feed them. I'm going to eat on the bus. It's a tall order, but it's also something that, regardless of the outcome, will help us in a few weeks if we're fortunate enough to qualify for the playoffs.
No doubt. That's a good way to break it all down. So I'm kind of circling back to what we were talking about before, how you were in this same situation just a couple of years ago. Do you guys feel any pressure to go undefeated? I know most coaches will say, again, it's a game-by-game basis. Take it one day at a time. Is that in the back of your head at all, knowing that you were in this situation before? And is there a pressure to improve upon it, knowing that last year 6-4, one and done in the playoffs, but this year there's an opportunity now in front of you, host a playoff game, get a high seed in the sectional playoff bracket. It's an opportunity to really knock off a really good Group 3 team here as well. Is that in the back of your mind? Or is there an outside pressure to say, you know what, like it would be better for us to go undefeated this year?
Well, I don't know that there's pressure, but I also would tell you that obviously people are thinking about it. And if they weren't thinking about it when people are putting it in the paper that, hey, if Middle can find a way to win this week, their schedule is indicative of a situation that they could line up and they could be 9-0 and Pleasantville could be 8-1 playing for a division title and a higher playoff seeding. So that's the way that everybody sees it potentially playing out if we're fortunate enough to win this week. But, we just got to make sure that the kids focus on the attention at hand right now. And that's a good football team that we have to go up the road and play. And like I said, it's a great experience in this set. We're on the bus. There's 2 buses. We're lining up. We're going up there. We got to prepare. We got a fire drill today at the end of the day. So practice was delayed by half an hour. So all the things you think could happen are starting to happen. But it's part of the process, and they've got to learn from it. They got to build from it, and they were great today at practice. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we finish the week and what happens when we get off the bus Friday.
I feel like it's one of those high school football experiences, knowing that you have to take you take a long drive up. It's going to be about an hour and a half, hour 40, wherever the case may be. But you just mentioned before, getting out of school early, guys are going to eat on the bus. It's almost like a team bonding experience, because everywhere else you go around here, it's within 15 to 20, maybe 30 minutes around in Cape May County or anywhere else around South. I got to feel like this will be a pretty good bonding experience for your team on Friday. Well,
no question. That's one of the reasons why. And I get it. I was a parent and my kids both played high school sports, that the parents get a little upset with me. I mean, I almost demand that the kids ride the bus home after a game, because there's as much camaraderie in that as there is on the way up. And especially after a win, they get to share stories and make memories for when they can talk about them 25, 30 years from now. But this whole bus thing, going to Raritan last year was an experience. It was a long bus ride. And when this situation presented itself, and we were able to schedule this game the way we were, I was kind of hopeful that we would get somebody that had some distance that we were going to have to travel. So, it gets you in a mindset of what happens, because even if we're fortunate enough to be a home seed, if we get into playoffs, if we win that game, the chances are probably pretty good, depending on where we fall. We're going to be on the road the next week. So It all plays out in the end. And part of the plan, when we knew these kids were all coming back and they were going to be seniors, we wanted to give them the best opportunity to be successful, put them in situations where they were going to encounter things that they were going to meet down the road. And this trip is one of those things. So, Raritan has played them in the past. Raritan plays Rumson, 2 years ago in the playoffs with Haddonfield. We played very well for a half and then had, 3 turnovers. So all this they've been through, and I'm very excited to see how they respond to it in the next few weeks.
That's a good way to look at it, considering the playoffs at this point are almost not geographically aligned, at least between South and Central Jersey. You guys could be in the Central Jersey bracket, and you're the furthest thing from Central Jersey. So one more for you, Coach, and head coach Frank Riggitano with me here on Cal One-on-One. Middle Township takes on Wall, trying to keep the perfect season going on the road up in Central Jersey. So just overall, the message to your team, what kind of message are you echoing from your team that the community can hear, the rest of the school can hear, knowing that this is arguably the biggest game of the season to date?
Well, there's no question that there's an excitement. I mean, our games are so well attended now, and the kids have theme nights. They dress. It's very hard to get in there, and there's standing room only in certain spots. So the community's really been out in support of the kids. And no matter what happens for the rest of the season, they've generated a culture with this group that I think is going to continue. I mean, and that's very indicative of the fact that, we struggled with a freshman program last year in terms of the numbers that we had, and we have 20 this year. And that's in large tribute to them, because I said, listen, guys, you guys have set the tone here. I need you to help me get some of these guys involved. And they did, and they're mentors to these kids, and they help them at practice. And, we've been fortunate enough to dress, a half a dozen to a dozen freshmen for varsity games, so they get the experience. And they're always talking to the kids. They're always building. They're always teaching them the process. And it's like I told David Julian and Brett Nab and a few of the other kids a few years ago when they were on the 8-2 team, that they'll remember your names forever if you go on and win this division, which was the first one since 1961, I think. If these kids could attain their goals and push forward, the people will remember them for a lifetime, and it'll give them something they could cherish and share with their kids and their grandkids. And that's what it's all about. It's about, the community being together and them experiencing teamwork in the process, in the greatest game in the world, because there's nothing that teaches you more about life skills than this game here.
Couldn't have summed it up any better. Cal 101 presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service right here on Cape Atlantic Live. Coach, appreciate the time. As always, good luck Friday. We will be watching, of course, from afar, or in case the Middle Township community wants to make the drive up, we'll do that too as well. Coach, appreciate the time as always. Good luck on Friday.
Nick, as always, thank you for everything you do for the kids. It's about the kids, and you guys are first rate with that kind of stuff. So keep doing what you're doing, bud. We love it. The community loves it, and I know the kids really do. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you very much.
All right, take care.